Train the muscles, not the joints. So welcome back to another Natural Gallant bodybuilding vlog, and today I'm going to be training a whole body workout. I'm going to be doing some bench, back, and you know, shoulders, arms, and you know, those other body parts like legs and stuff like that. You know, the stuff that I do in the gym. I'm doing a pretty frequent type training at this time. When I recorded this video, I was actually training whole body workouts about 4 or 5 days a week. And some days I'd miss a body part, like I said before in previous vlogs. And then other days I would have the whole body workout. And then I would also sometimes vary the reps. Like I said before, sometimes I do, you know, sets of 10. Sometimes I do sets of 20. It just depends on how I felt that day, right? So there's some body parts that I felt fully recovered in, and then I do a heavier day. And then the body parts that were kind of sore, then I would actually lighten up the load. I would do higher reps or easier type movements, right? So that's basically how I catered the whole entire thing. And ultimately that's really something that you got to go on feel. So it takes time to develop feel. You know, as you train over the years, you develop more of a fine-tuned type of feel from your training, and then you know what's right for you. So like I said, start with a template, figure out what you like to do, see what kind of results you get, measure the progress. You know, are you gaining in strength? Are you getting leaner? Are you getting stronger? And then from there, you'll start to see some patterns. You'll start to see the pattern of what is working for you and what isn't. So today is not extremely strong for me. Today I got about 10 reps with 275 or so on the bench. And on my stronger days, sometimes I'll get 12 to 14 reps, it depends. So from seeing this, I'll actually cater my diet, cater my sleep, cater my training. Sometimes I'll change my workout programs around. If I find that I'm never actually hitting my PRs on a regular basis, then I know that, okay, perhaps I'm overtraining for a short period of time, which is sometimes necessary to get through plateaus. But in other times, what I'll do is I'll just change my routine altogether. You know, so sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually just go to a 2-day split, which is actually what I'm doing right now as I record this. I'm more on a 2-day split, so I'm increasing the volume and increasing the recovery period in between muscle groups, okay? So I do believe in changing that up. Like I've talked about lots of times, I've always said, you know, change your workout programs up. You don't always have to stay to the same type of program, because each program is going to have its strengths and weaknesses. And some programs will work your fast twitch fibers more, and some programs will work your slow twitch fibers more. Some fibers will work different actual muscle groups more. Like for instance, like higher reps will influence some groups of muscles more so than other groups of muscles, you know? So I noticed that when I did higher reps with leg training, sometimes it was more effective, and sometimes lower reps was more effective. It just depended on what my body needed at that time. So that's why you want to be open. You don't want to get too dogmatic about the way you train. I know some guys, they've been training for 10 or 20 years and they train the same way all the time, and it doesn't matter whether they got an injury, it doesn't matter whether the end of the world is coming, it doesn't matter if there's a zombie apocalypse in the gym, they're still doing the same damn routine, right? So you want to make sure that you adapt, you know, adapt based on what your body's telling you, and that includes with range of motion, with rep range, with rest, with diet, everything. You know, another guy came up to me in the gym the other day and he was saying, hey Jason, you know, I think low carbs is a better diet. And I said, you know what? Low carb, higher fat might be a better diet for you right now. You know, I'm not against any type of diet. Sometimes different types of macro profile is necessary for your body, because some help you with stabilizing blood sugar more so. And if blood sugar is your weak link, well, then you want to have a diet that's more about that. But say energy is your weak link, then you want to have a diet that has to do with more carbohydrate intake or more energy intake. So it just depends, really. It just depends on what your body needs at the time, you know? So really what I'm doing is I'm making you all into students again from the advanced professionals that a lot of you might be already, who knows? But the fact is that when you can approach every workout from the eyes of a beginner, you know, from the eyes of a student or a person learning, you know, and the teacher is your body. The body's constantly teaching you, constantly telling you, hey, this is what I need today, this is what I need today. And sometimes it's incredibly frustrating. It's frustrating to your mind because you probably have this master plan in place, and you're like, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm going to gain this much strength, I'm going to lose this much body fat, I'm going to look like this by the time this date comes. And the fact is your body's telling you it's got other plans. And I'm here to tell you that the body knows best, you know? So you're here to listen to the body, listen to what it's telling you, and to make adjustments as you go, right? So for instance, I felt like doing some heavy bent over rows today and it worked great. And I know that I didn't use wrist straps today, and so my grip became the weak link. So in the future, what will happen is I'll use wrist straps so that way my grip is not the weak link and my actual back and lats and traps become the weak link, you know? But does that mean I'm against wrist straps or I'm for wrist straps? No, it just is what I feel is right for me at this point in my training. So on that note, usually when I do a whole body workout, I do about 3 sets per body part. And sometimes, like I said, the reps will vary and everything like that. But today I decided to do 3 extra sets of some rotator cuff exercises because this actually helps the development of the rear delts, also helps stabilize my shoulder and prevent injuries. And of course, as you guys know, I have that hockey injury and stuff. That means one of my shoulders is kind of unstable. So I do have to pay extra attention, I guess, extra attention to stabilizing that joint to make sure that I can continue training. So I have to have a whole different level of communication between me and the shoulder joint than say before, you know, I had the dislocating shoulder injury from hockey. So this is the type of adaptations that you apply to your training on a regular basis. And so it's a constant communication. It's really a constant conversation between you and what you need to do, right? Cosmic Shakti, baby. So here I am wearing my Cosmic Shakti shirt here, and you can see some people training in the background, you know, it's like just business as usual at Champion Athletic Club. And that leads me into another point. You know, there's another reason why you might want to change your routine from time to time. There's sometimes where you notice that your passion just kind of leaves you. You're just not really interested in going to the gym. You're kind of bored. You know exactly what's going to happen. You know exactly what type of routine you're going to do, what type of reps, what type of range, and you know who you're going to see at the gym. Everything's just become routine. And at that point, it's almost like you're just going through the motions. So I find that when you change the routine up, it's almost like it gets rid of your expectations of what's going to happen in the workout, and then it frees you up to actually experiencing the exercises as they're happening. And it also frees you up to experience the body and to react to the stimulus that the body is showing you. Because it's really common for people to kind of really become zombies. You know, it's not just the zombie apocalypse coming, it's actually people become zombies where they are almost ignorant to what is happening in their bodies because they're just going through the motions on a day-to-day basis, right? So when you're in the gym, that's really a dangerous place to be. When you're just going through the motions because that's what you do and you're not really paying attention, that's when Snap City happens. That's when a lot of times you will hurt yourself or you will not listen at the right time and then possibly extend your range of motion beyond what you're ready for that day or not warm up enough or whatever it is, you know? So you really want to bring your awareness in the gym, and I find enthusiasm is a great way to bring awareness into your workouts, right? When you're enthusiastic, you're awake, you're right there, you're smiling, you know, you're basically right into the whole thing. And because of that, you actually start to make better decisions when it comes down to your exercises and how you perform them and what time, you know? Like right here, I'm swinging the dumbbells a bit, but I don't care because I know I'm totally in tune with my body. I know this is the right way to train biceps. I've done the super strict curls and holding them just up, you know, just for 10 minutes at a time, just to, you know, in a stable position. That's an exaggeration, of course. But doing that, I found that it doesn't really hit my biceps as well. There's a certain amount of motion and a type of motion that I find keeps the tension on the bicep and keeps it like my arms are finely tuned pistons, okay? So you want to find that type of motion for you, and that's the way that is the most efficient for you to move. So don't try to copy people. Listen to your body, find out what your body's telling you. And I know I say this all the time, but this explains why I move in the way that I move, right? So here's one of my favorite exercises lately. I've been actually doing the skull crusher, and I show you this all the time, but then I've been doing the close grip with the dumbbells, and this is, you know, evolved in different ways. Sometimes I keep the elbows in at my side, and sometimes I flare them out. And sometimes I do a hybrid of both, where I keep them in at my side and then flare them out as I come up. So you can play around with that and actually see which one keeps the tension on your triceps and which one really burns them out to full failure. You see, that was the real live action cam right there. You saw that I only took about 10 or 15 seconds rest, and then I went into another set right away just to take the triceps right into a deeper level of failure. So sometimes mixing up the rest is great, especially with the smaller body parts. You can really get away with doing like a 10-second, 20-second rest sometimes just to get that extra burn in there. I wouldn't recommend this though. I would never recommend this in squats and in deadlifts, okay? I see some people on the internet just for trends and just to be interesting out there doing, you know, reps to failure on squats and deadlifts and only taking 10 or 15 seconds rest with decent weight. And of course, like I said, with deadlift and with back training and with leg training, sometimes you're playing with fire because fatigue sometimes means those muscles that are protecting the joints are actually fatiguing, and then of course you hurt yourself. So you know, don't fall for those trends of you know, squat till you drop type idea, because that stuff gets a little bit dangerous, right? So from triceps, I moved on to some lunges, and of course I don't show you all the sets that I'm doing with my exercises, but I'm doing about 3 to 6 sets for each body part. So this is a pretty long workout tonight. But here I am doing one-legged squats with dumbbells. Now with dumbbells and barbells, I've talked about this before, and it's really accurate to say that barbells and dumbbells are really different exercises in a lot of ways. You will find the stress is transferred more to the hamstring and the ass when you have dumbbells because the center of gravity is different. So just keep that in mind, right? Sometimes people think, oh, I'm doing a lunge. A lunge is a lunge. It's all the same. It's like, no, it's actually not. You do actually work different muscle groups, and you will get different development from each one. So sometimes I shy away from the dumbbell type stuff just because, you know, my grip gives out if I'm using heavier weights. Sometimes I get into the 90s or the 100s. And then I find that my grip gives out and I don't want to use wrist straps, or I don't have the wrist straps with me. So I just get stubborn and I just go right to the barbell instead. But, you know, I still use this exercise quite regularly, and it does give you a different stretch and a different pump. And it is really great. I do really love this type of exercise. One-legged movements, I always say this and it's the truth, they're really underrated. So if you are having trouble with developing legs, do some one-legged movements and really find your groove with each leg and burn those legs out. And I tell you, you will notice some big time results from that. So make sure you start with the weak leg whenever you do any sort of one-legged movements. I start with the weaker leg first, or the more uncoordinated leg, I guess you could say. It just depends on your preference. But if you notice that one leg is developing more than the other, then start with the weaker leg, right? So that takes care of any sort of complications from one-legged squats or step-ups or whatever it is you're doing. But ultimately, I ended off my workout with about 4 sets of the one-legged squats. And I went up to 80s, and then I went up to 90s or so, I think 90s or 95s, one of the two. And yeah, so that's what my workout looked like, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thanks a lot for watching, and make sure you check out my website, naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, if you have any questions or anything, and take care for now. Some music for purchase at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com, and I make all my music for my videos. Music that's playing in the background right now, I made that too. But if you want to check it out or buy some music, and if you want to use it in your own videos, just shoot me an email and we'll talk about it and go from there. But yeah, check it out at naturalgallantbodybuilding.com. So thanks for watching, and take care for now.